Have you ever wondered why Homo sapiens, us, ended up ruling the planet? Out of 6 different human species that once walked the Earth, why are we the only ones left? And how did we go from small bands of hunter-gatherers to building empires, inventing money, and launching rockets into space? Today we're diving deep into one of the most mind-blowing books ever written, Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, by Yuval Noah Harari. This book doesn't just tell history, it completely reframes how you see yourself, society, and the future. Stick around for the full summary. By the end, you'll never look at the world the same way again. Let's begin. Part 1. The Cognitive Revolution. About 70,000 years ago, something extraordinary happened inside the brains of one particular human species, Homo sapiens. Harari calls this the Cognitive Revolution. Before this, sapiens were just another animal, not particularly strong, fast, or numerous. We lived in small groups in East Africa, foraging for food like every other creature. Then, almost overnight in evolutionary terms, we developed a new kind of language. Not just grunts and gestures, but complex sentences that could describe things that don't even exist. We could talk about lions, rivers, and fruits that were miles away. More importantly, we could invent and share stories, myths, gods, tribes, nations. This ability to create shared fictions is what makes sapiens unique. A chimpanzee troop can't cooperate in groups larger than about 150 individuals because they only trust what they can see and know personally. But sapiens? We can cooperate in thousands, millions, even billions, because we all believe in the same stories. Think about it. Money is just paper, or numbers on a screen, but we all agree it has value. Companies are legal fictions, imaginary entities that exist only because we believe in them. Nations, religions, human rights, all imagined realities. These shared myths allowed sapiens to organize flexibly on a massive scale, and that gave us an unbeatable advantage. With this new power, sapiens left Africa around 70,000 years ago and began spreading across the planet. Wherever we went, other human species, Neanderthals, Denisovans, Homo erectus, started disappearing. Harari doesn't sugarcoat it. We likely outcompeted, interbred with, and sometimes killed off our cousins. Within a few tens of thousands of years, we were the last humans standing. We also drove massive waves of extinction. In Australia, giant marsupials vanished soon after sapiens arrived. In the Americas, mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and giant sloths disappeared. Sapiens were the most destructive force the animal kingdom had ever seen. And we were just getting started. For most of history, about 95% of it, sapiens lived as hunter-gatherers. And here's a surprise. Harari argues those foragers were probably happier and healthier than we think. They worked maybe 3 to 4 hours a day to get food, had varied diets, strong social bonds, and almost no infectious diseases because their groups were small. Compare that to later farmers who toiled from dawn to dusk, ate mostly grains, and suffered malnutrition and epidemics. Foragers weren't living in constant fear of starvation. They knew their environment intimately. They had art, music, spirituality. Many modern foragers studied by anthropologists are remarkably egalitarian and peaceful. So why did we ever give up that life? Part 2. The Agricultural Revolution. About 12,000 years ago, in the Fertile Crescent, something changed. The Agricultural Revolution. Sapiens began planting wheat, domesticating animals, and settling in villages. Most history books call this humanity's greatest achievement, the foundation of civilization. Harari flips that idea on its head. He calls agriculture history's biggest fraud. From the perspective of the human species, it was a success. Population exploded from a few million to hundreds of millions. But for individual humans, life got worse. Farmers worked harder than foragers. Their diet narrowed, mostly carbohydrates, leading to shorter stature, weaker bones, and more disease. Settlements created garbage, rats, and epidemics. Social hierarchies emerged. Kings, priests, elites who didn't have to toil in the fields. So why did we do it? Harari's answer: nobody planned it. It happened gradually. A group plants some wheat to supplement foraging. Next generation plants more. Over centuries, they become dependent on crops. There's no going back. Wheat, rice, and potatoes didn't domesticate us on purpose, but in a way, they did. We cleared forests, diverted rivers, and exhausted soil, all to grow more food, to feed more humans, to grow more food. Agriculture created surplus, which allowed specialization. Some people became artisans, scribes, soldiers, priests. That surplus also allowed population growth, which locked us into the system. And once a society went agricultural, neighboring foragers were either absorbed or outcompeted. The agricultural revolution set the stage for everything that followed: cities, writing, empires, religion, science. Part 3. The unification of humankind. Fast forward several thousand years. By 5,000 years ago, complex civilizations were rising in Mesopotamia, Egypt, China, Mesoamerica. But the world was still fragmented. Thousands of separate cultures, languages, and beliefs. Then, 3 great unifiers began bringing humankind together. Money, empires, universal religions. First, money. Money is one of the greatest shared stories ever invented. Before money, trade was limited. Barter only works if I have what you want and you have what I need. Coins and later paper money and digital entries solved that. Everyone trusts that a piece of metal or paper has value because we all agree. Money allowed strangers to cooperate economically on a massive scale. It turned trust into a universal commodity. Second, empires. Empires are one of the most successful political structures in history. Most of us today live in countries that were once part of empires: Roman, Mongol, British, Ottoman. Empires conquered diverse peoples and imposed a shared imperial culture, laws, administration, roads, a common language for elites. Harari points out something uncomfortable. Empires are often culturally inclusive in theory, anyone can join, but brutally destructive in practice. Millions died in conquests, and local cultures were erased or marginalized. Yet empires also created shared histories and infrastructures we still use. Third, universal religions. Religions like Christianity, Islam, and Buddhism are different from tribal religions because they claim universal truth and seek converts everywhere. These religions provided another glue for large-scale cooperation. They justified empires, God wants us to rule, and gave people meaning beyond their local tribe. Together, money, empire, and religion created the first threads of a global network. By the time of the European Age of Exploration, these forces were ready to weave the entire planet into one system. Part 4. The Scientific Revolution. The modern world begins around 500 years ago with the Scientific Revolution. Before this, most cultures assumed they already knew everything important about the world. The Bible, the Quran, or ancient philosophers had the answers. Then Europeans did something radical. They admitted ignorance. Scientists like Copernicus, Galileo, and Newton said, "We don't actually know how the universe works. Let's find out." This admission of ignorance, combined with new institutions, universities, journals, funding, sparked explosive progress. But science alone wasn't enough. It needed two partners, imperialism and capitalism. Imperialism provided maps, specimens, and resources from around the world. Capitalism provided funding. Investors backed expeditions and inventions, expecting profit. The triangle worked like this: scientific research, new technologies, guns, ships, medicine, conquest and trade, more wealth, more research. This feedback loop gave Europe unprecedented power and eventually made the modern global economy. Harari stresses, modern science is different because it expects change. It assumes today's theories will be replaced tomorrow. This mindset, progress is possible, ignorance is temporary, is what launched the Industrial Revolution, modern medicine, and information technology. Transition. The last few centuries have seen the fastest transformation in human history. Life expectancy doubled. Population grew from 1 billion to over 8 billion. We conquered famine, plague, and war as leading causes of death, though war still threatens. Yet Harari asks, are we happier? Hunter-gatherers had meaning in community and nature. Farmers found meaning in religion and family. Modern people have unprecedented comfort, but often feel alienated, anxious, and purposeless. Consumerism has become the new dominant myth. Buy more, experience more, and you'll be happy. But the happiness treadmill keeps moving. We've also gained godlike powers through biotechnology, artificial intelligence, and genetic engineering. We can now redesign life itself. Closing section. So where are sapiens headed? Harari ends on an open, slightly unsettling note. For the first time in history, we are no longer subject to natural selection in the old way. We are becoming the designers of evolution. Possible futures include super-intelligent AI surpassing humans, cyborgs merging with machines, genetically enhanced humans creating new inequalities, or even the end of Homo sapiens as we know it. The most important question isn't what we can do, but what we want to do. Because technology is advancing faster than our ability to agree on shared values. That's the story of sapiens. From insignificant African apes to would-be gods. Yuval Noah Harari doesn't give easy answers. He forces us to question the stories we live by: nations, money, religion, human rights. Are they serving us? Or are we serving them? If this summary blew your mind even a little, do 3 things. Read the full book. It's worth every page. Like this video and subscribe for more deep dive book summaries. Thanks for watching.